Hello and Namaste. This is Dr. Srinidhi Chidambaram with the COVID Care series presented by Apollo Hospitals. COVID-19 and the pandemic causes many health challenges apart from actually getting COVID. And one such challenge is our diet. We usually end up eating more or at odd timings, as many are at home, or we eat unhealthy stuff or order more food from outside. It may be because of stress or anxiety, panic, hunger, boredom, or sometimes it is just eating for comfort. That tub of ice cream sometimes feels to me as if it's the solution to all my problems. We can swing from Swiggy and Zomato on one side to obsessing about things like ginger, turmeric, kashayams, kadas, powders, supplements, garlic, whatever, to build our immunity and prevent COVID-19. This is not the time for either a zero carb diet or for freaking out on pizzas. It's really the time for us to focus on a healthy diet. Then only we can, make sure that there is no weight gain or buildup of high sugar or high cholesterol, because all these are also risk factors for getting COVID and also for severity of COVID infections. So we need to know exactly what to eat, when to eat, how to remain healthy and have good immunity and be fit, and above all, be happy. So today I'm delighted to welcome Ms. D.K. Daphne, who is the Chief Dietitian and the Head of the Department of Dietetics and Nutrition at Apollo Hospitals, Greens Road, Chennai. Daphne holds a Master of Science degree in Food and Nutrition from the Women's Christian College, Chennai, and a professional diploma in clinical research. She has over 24 years of experience at Apollo Hospitals. She's course director, Apollo Clinical Nutrition and Dietetics Internship Program, and also the member board of studies, University of Madras. And she has submitted a PhD thesis in clinical nutrition at the Women's Chennai. Daphne, I'm very, very happy to welcome you to this FB Live, and we all look forward to all your tips on what we can eat to develop our immunity and remain strong and fit. Viewers, follow her diet plan and you will see the transformation. Over to you, Daphne.
Namaste. It is indeed my pleasure to come into your home and talk to you regarding diet and nutrition. Thank you, Dr. Srinidhi, for a wonderful introduction. And without much delay, let's move on to the topic, diet and nutrition. There's a lot of interest that has gained, and it has gained a lot of momentum in the past 1 year. And why do you think it is important? Because whatsoever may be the father of the disease, an ill diet is the mother. Ill diet perspective, it's a poor diet which can attribute to a decrease in one or more nutrients what we eat. Invariably, all of us must be doing that. So I'm here to talk to you how you can tweak your diet to make your plate healthy. So eating adequately, appropriately, all the nutrient dense foods on a regular basis will help you to maintain your healthy cells and especially immune cells. This COVID has really dragged us so long, and it is so important for us to stay healthy. And the simple thing that we can hold in hand is healthy diet. Many of the factors are not in our hand, right? So when we talk about nutrient dense food, what do you mean by that? Foods that are rich in nutrients like vitamins and minerals and healthy components like fiber, and which is limited in sugar, salt, and saturated fat. Dr. Srinidhi did mention about increasing sugars, cholesterol. So these components have to be low in the diet. So I'm going to give you 5 tips as to how you can incorporate this nutrient-dense food into your plate. Number 1, include fruits and vegetables. Simple. It sounds very simple, but you should understand at least 5 portions you should incorporate per day. 5 is a big number because most of us don't even exceed 1 cup of vegetable per meal. So minimum of 2 cups per meal. Altogether, it should be 5 cups of vegetables and fruits, which will give you adequate amount of antioxidants, minerals, and vitamins, which will support your immunity. Next comes your whole grains. Choose whole grains. These are nothing but your carbohydrates, which are complex. So you need to cut down on your simple sugars and refined flour and concentrate on whole grains, because that will give you fiber, it will give you satiety, it helps you maintain sugars and cholesterol well, if in case you have such comorbidities. Next comes your protein. Protein, varied amount, varied varieties of protein. It can be a vegetarian protein or a non-vegetarian protein. Make sure it is of good quality. It can be from dal, milk. It can be non-vegetarian sources like fish, chicken, eggs. All these should be part of your meal plan. When you talk about your plate, it should have 1 starch, 1 protein mandate, apart from the vegetables and fruits. And next is your milk and milk products. Always try to choose low-fat milk, because that is very, very important. And at least 2 glasses of milk and milk products will help you get your protein and along with that, your immunity. Finally, what I specified was limiting your sugars, sweets, and saturated fats. It is so important that it's time that we become a little more conscious about what we have, because many of us tend to have a lot of sugary items, which needs to be cut down during this phase. Whether we have COVID or not is secondary, but many patients who come to us with COVID have increased sugar levels in spite of being non-diabetic. So this phase is very, very challenging for us. So it's better that you maintain your sugar. Yo-yo sugar levels or fluctuating sugar levels can bring down immunity. And this is 5 tips for you. Next component, gut health. If your stomach is happy, your immunity is good. Gut is the largest immune organ, and diet plays a vital role to keep it healthy. What can you eat to make your gut happy? First thing is high fiber diet. High fiber, you get it from simple vegetables, fruits, whole grains, whole pulses. Don't you think I'm talking simple layman thing, what we normally eat? But are we putting all this together is a question that you need to interrogate and see. The next component, why am I speaking about fiber, is that it is a prebiotic. Prebiotic is nothing but food for the microbes. You should all understand, all of us are home for 100 trillion microbes, and there are good microbes in our system. And when your good microbes are healthy, obviously your immunity is better, and for which these prebiotics or the fibers which you get from vegetables like garlic, onion, ginger, artichokes, asparagus. At large, I can say eat plenty of vegetables and fruits. Automatically, you get your prebiotics, which will feed the good microbes, wherein the fiber is converted into short chain fatty acids and feeds the microbes. When your gut is healthy, your immunity gets stronger. It is one way of doing it. The next component is probiotic. Probiotic, you get it from yogurt. Most of us have curds on a regular basis, right? Our South Indian or our North Indian thali has a cup of curd. So yogurt with live active microbes is very important. Otherwise, you can have fermented vegetables or miso kefir, few of the fermented goods also provide probiotics, but the simplest of all is curds, what we normally use. These two are going to help you keep your gut happy and healthy. So in order to stay healthy during this period, it is balancing all the components of diet together and ensuring that we stay away from fast foods, because that can cause ill effects. It can bring down your immunity. Fried foods, because that's also going to cause, increase in your weight, which indirectly can bring down your immunity. And apart from food, what else are the components that are very important to stay healthy? The lifestyle that you lead, your sleep pattern, your exercise pattern, at least half an hour every day. Some form of exercise it is required in order to stay healthy, and sleep of about 7 to 9 hours, they say, at least 6 to 8 hours. If you could have a regular pattern of sleeping, quality sleep is very important, because all these, if we do not practice, it becomes very difficult in the long run, because during the second wave, all our kith and kins are affected. So it is so important that we stay healthy with a good diet and a proper lifestyle. Thank you.
So would you recommend in terms of, like you spoke about having every meal having representations from all the nutrient groups? Is there also something like, should we make it like every 2 hours, small quantities, or it should just be the 3 regular meals?
It can be 3 regular meals, but make sure you have 2 snacks in between. It is so important, because during this phase, we need to make sure we stay healthy by maintaining our weight, by keeping our sugars under control, by keeping our cholesterol under control, because all these components put together, if you look at your meal pattern or your dietary pattern, morning, if you take your bed coffee or tea, ensure that you have less sugar. This is not easy. It is very easily said than done, but conscious effort is very important. If you're a healthy person, I would suggest max of 4 or 5 teaspoons of sugar, including your sweets and etc. So you have to be very cautious in that aspect. Then your breakfast, a healthy breakfast, always I tell you, it is native way of eating which supports gut health. So if you are a South Indian, your idli, dosa, your khichdi, pongal, all these are perfectly okay. If you would prefer a North Indian pattern of eating, chapatis or besan, chilla, poha, all those components can be part of your meal plan. But make sure the quantity that you eat is restricted. I don't encourage you to overdo on the quantity. Be conscious. Ensure that you have your vegetables and protein. Poha can be vegetable poha. Make sure you have some eggs along with your breakfast, or some paneer bhaji along with your breakfast, so that your protein component is also met, so you don't overdo on your carbohydrate and fat. Then comes your mid-morning. Mid-morning, you can have a liquid drink. It can be a buttermilk, it can be a soup or a coconut water. Along with that, if in case you're feeling very hungry, a handful of nut will come in very handy, because when we talk about healthy eating, healthy fats are very important. Nuts are healthy fats. It can be almonds, walnuts, peanuts, depending on your choice. Make sure you have a handful of them, about 25 to 30 grams. Then comes your lunch. Whenever you plan a meal, you should ensure that you have your carbohydrate component, your protein component. Carbohydrate is your basic cereal, rice, wheat, bajra, millets. Keep changing. Your protein component can be dal or your non-vegetarian protein, and the next 2 cups of vegetables. So all these should be part of it. And then your evening, you can have a snack along with your coffee and tea. It can be sundal or boiled, grams. Or if you are not taking nuts at that time, you can have it here. Or it can be a fruit. Fruit is a healthy, natural candy, I call it, because you take that along in the evening or in the mid-morning. These two snacks can be interchanged. And your dinner, it can always be a little light. You can have your roti or your rice-based item with vegetables and your dal component. That way, if you're going to split your diet into 5 portions, 3 main meals with 2 snacks, it will help you to maintain your sugars, as well as it'll help you to feel, full. Satiety is very important. You split, don't become too hungry, have a gap of long 4 to 6 hours. Then you start your meal, you tend to overeat. So small frequent meal plan and adequate amount of water throughout the day of at least 2 liters will help you stay healthy.
Is this a good time to follow diets, as in, there are so many diets we hear of, the fasting or the keto or a very low carb diet or LCHF. Is this a good time to do this during the time when there is so much of stress and fear and, the danger of immunity being compromised?
So there are 2 ways to look at it. Immunity getting compromised because you are obese is also one factor you should have in mind. And immunity getting compromised by following a poor or ill-planned diet can be one factor. If in case you want to follow a diet for weight reduction, make sure you consult a clinical dietitian, put a planner in place so that your nutrient dense foods are not compromised. It is just the components which are going to be converted into fat in your system, like the carbohydrates or high fat diet, should be minimized, or portion control should be done. And your nutrient dense foods, which are very vital for this phase, have to be enhanced in your diet plan. So do not do yo-yo dieting, keep on changing the dietary patterns, looking at the, Google. Don't go into starvation. Don't go into, stringent crash diet. That also is not advocated during this phase. It has to be a healthy meal plan with a restriction of bit of carbs and fat so that you do not lose your immunity. I do not discourage you from following a proper weight reducing diet, but do not do things without any proper consult.
Are there any foods that weaken the immune system?
Yes, of course, there are foods which can weaken the immune system. That is why we did speak about sugars, salt, and fats, which are to be limited, because too much of sugary items can make a fluctuating sugar, which can, reduce immunity. Next component is salt. Too much of salty items also have an impact on impairing the immune system by, impairing the T cells. Next component is fried food items. Fried foods are, it's a major issue, because most of you who are working from home really feel satisfied with fast foods and fried items, right? I want to place it in record saying that fast foods or fried items increases advanced glycation end products, AGEs, which is nothing but there is a conversion or a reaction that takes place between the sugars of the food and the protein and fat component of the diet, which causes these AGEs when they are exposed to very high temperature. That is deep frying. So these foods can bring down or weaken immunity. It is so important that we stay away from fried foods, fast foods, and those which are processed, because processed foods have a lot of trans fats and AGEs, which can weaken the immune system.
Which vegetables can help in boosting my child's immune system?
Vegetables, when we talk about children, children find it very difficult to eat vegetables, right? So it is so important as parents, from the initial phase itself, we should make sure it is part of their meal plan. Because as infants, when we start feeding them a lot of sugars or salt and sugar taste, they don't even know. It is just that how mother feeds the baby. From the initial phase, if you start incorporating vegetables into the meal plan, it becomes very easy. And I tell you, all vegetables can be incorporated. Even roots and tubers are very good for them. Most of the kids like potatoes, sweet potatoes. You can incorporate them into your meal plan because they're rich in vitamins, and even carrots are rich in vitamin A. Beta carotene gets converted into vitamin A. So ensure that you incorporate carrots. It can be made in the form of carrot juice, or it can be boiled mashed carrots, what can be used for kids, or sauteed foods. And leafy vegetable, if in case you find it very difficult, you can make some soup out of it and feed the kids, because it has to be a little interesting for them. You can make rolls, cutty rolls can be made with vegetables. So incorporating different colored vegetables into child's diet will help improve immunity, because most of them give you adequate amount of vitamin A, D, then E. All these are rich in vegetables, and it is good in minerals also.
How much of water consumption is required to boost immunity as such?
At least 8 glasses of water is a standard that we advise. But when we talk about COVID patients, we advise 2 to 3 liters if they are positive. For a healthy individual, at least 2 liters per day, including all your liquids like buttermilk, coconut water, soups. All of those can be incorporated.
Also, we find that, during the time of COVID, to prevent it, we see a lot of, like we read about taking a lot of those infused ginger potions, or there is turmeric. A lot of people are guzzling down turmeric in loads, or even garlic, or, there are also a lot of these kashayams which are available, which even the government gives those things. How good are really, I mean, do they actually build the immunity for, or are they helpful in people who actually are infected? Like, should they take these things?
Each component of whatever you said, ginger, garlic, turmeric, each of it has its own goodness. They're all anti-inflammatory, but not a single component as such may not be a super duper hit, or it may not boost your immunity. As I told you, all these should be part of your meal plan. Each individual component has its goodness, which, if it is balanced along with your meal plan, will have a good effect in supporting your immunity. So ginger can be used in your rasam, your vegetables, and garlic as such in your soups. We use a lot of garlic. Turmeric we all use in sambar and poriyals. So it's all part of our meal plan, and we don't discourage it, but you cannot say that individual component is going to help you out. Make sure you balance your overall meal with adequate protein and adequate energy. Only then all these support therapies will help you to sustain a better health.
It's also better not to overdo them, because they can have a lot of problems with your reflux and acidity. And I know people who have developed severe gastric irritation by just having a lot of those things, which I think must be quite pungent.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said it should be part of your meal plan, not a major portion of your meal plan. If we use it, diligently as a routine, then it is perfectly okay. Do not overdo, because most of the COVID patients have GI distress also. So it is better to be very, very nominal according to your system. You can use it.
I will now read out questions that are being posted by our viewers who are on the FB Live. So let me begin with this. I am diabetic on insulin. Recently, my parents tested COVID positive and now they have recovered. Before them, I suffered from fever. Now I'm well. What type of food should I have to increase my immunity? Which we already said. But
Okay, being a diabetic, your first point is make sure your sugar is under control, for which you should have a portion control diet, especially your carbohydrate needs to be controlled. Make sure 3 main meals are taken with, restricted carbohydrate, increased amount of protein. If you're a non-vegetarian, make sure you take eggs and chicken along with your rice or rotis, and at least 2 to 3 cups of vegetables and salads, so that your sugar is well under control. My prescription for you would be restricted carbohydrate, low fat, high protein, and ensure that you have a small frequent meal plan with 3 main meals and 2 snacks in between, and have adequate liquids, and make sure you do your exercise and have a proper sleep pattern, because all these components are important for you to ensure that your sugars are under control.
I have a question here, Daphne, after they recover from COVID, or even when they are having COVID, a lot of patients don't have much of an appetite. And they do have, I still hear people after recovery talking about bitter taste or loss of taste, or they feel things too salty. So for such people, they do need a good nutritional support to recover, because they also have fatigue and they need to heal completely. What would you really suggest for people who just can't eat anything?
If in case you're not able to eat, make sure you have nutritious drinks or liquid drinks in between. It can be soups. It can be, if you're a non-vegetarian, chicken soups are really good. Make sure you add some eggs also along with that, and have coconut water, buttermilk. And if your intake is very poor, I would suggest you take some supplemental powders also, at least thrice a day, so that you don't feel fatigued, because fatigue, weakness is part of COVID, and it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get better. And initially, when you meet a doctor itself, the first thing he advises is a nutritious diet. So if you are not able to eat, make sure you contact a dietitian, make a planner, because it becomes easy to get through this phase with a good nutritious food.
The next question is, with antibiotics, is it okay to eat curd? As COVID causes the cold and cough, I am a little doubtful about eating curd.
Fresh curds are perfectly fine as long as you are not allergic to it. Having curds when you are on antibiotic is not a no, you can have. But if in case you are a person who's already allergic to curds and buttermilk, you can avoid. Otherwise, absolutely okay to have curds during the course of COVID. Rather, it is important that you have.
What diet would you recommend for COVID-affected 66-year-old with diabetes? His creatinine level is high and there is protein leakage, I assume protein in the urine as well.
If in case there is elevated creatinine, if you could have a personal counseling with me, I'll be happy to help you out, because I need to look at every other parameter, then comment on how much protein you can give him. But right now, I would suggest you follow a vegetarian diet, more of dal in the meal plan, so that he's not deprived of protein. Let him not become too weak. Have a consult with me so that I will give you a better input looking at his parameter.
Absolutely. I'm a pure vegetarian and my uric acid is 9. Can I bring down my uric acid only through diet, or do I have to take medicines?
Uric acid of 9, it will be advisable if you could consult with a physician, because they might start on medication. from diet perspective, I would encourage you to have a lot of water, at least 3 liters of water, because it will help in diluting the uric acid and it will be pushed out, flushed out in the urine. Next component, make sure if in case you take alcohol, first thing is to stop alcohol. No nuts in your diet. If you are a non-vegetarian, I would suggest or discourage you from taking red meat. Otherwise, a vegetarian meal plan is perfectly okay. And, except for having masoor dal. Otherwise, a simple vegetarian diet with more of liquids should help you get over, but do consult a doctor and get medication started.
Is the keto diet good for weight loss purpose?
Keto diet, yes, there are a lot of research happening with regard to keto and weight loss, and we do find it is useful in weight loss, but in the long run, how it can affect your body is still a query. So there are researches happening. So consult a dietitian and follow. Don't individually Google out and follow such diets.
Is it helpful to drink a glass of water boiled with turmeric, lemon, honey, and black pepper?
It is good to have it because lemon gives you vitamin C, which is an antioxidant. And turmeric, as we discussed, it is anti-inflammatory. So having a drink on a daily basis, especially during this phase, it is good. But as I told you, no individual component is going to support your immunity. It's the overall healthy diet. Along with that, if you're going to take this, it is going to be useful.
What are the reasons for sugar cravings in kids after a meal?
Sugar craving in kids, it could be a habit which is happening at home. Maybe parents are doing that, and that could reflect on your child's habit also. Maybe start, serving a fruit instead of a sweet after a meal. That is a healthy option, which over a period of time, the child will get adapted to.
Any vitamin supplement should be taken for boosting immunity?
If you're following a healthy meal plan, all the vitamins and minerals like vitamin A, D, E, zinc, selenium, iron, everything comes handy from your diet itself. And only when you are deficient, you're supposed to take a supplement, that too with the prescription from a physician. You don't do, over-the-counter medication and take supplements. In the long run, it can become toxic, and because you're not monitored by a physician. So only with an advice of a physician, you are allowed to take a supplement. Otherwise, refrain. Whatever healthy eating pattern, what I have advised, if you could do that, you will get all the healthy nutrients, what is required to cross over this phase.
What are the cereals and pulses that one can use in what form at what frequency?
Cereals and pulses are basically part of our meal plan, right? Whole cereals are better. Say, for example, brown rice, whole wheat, bajra. As I told you before, native eating, grandmom's cooking or mom's kitchen is becoming famous. That's because native eating is the thing for healthy gut. So if I am a South Indian, I don't have to have chapatis all through the day. I can very well survive with brown rice or healthy rice pattern, whatever we eat here. So according to the native eating pattern, try to accommodate your food choices that's only suitable to your gut. And pulses, obviously you can have at least one portion of pulse per meal if you are a vegetarian. If you're a non-vegetarian, it can be, replaced with non-vegetarian source of protein. And quantity perspective, it differs from individual to individual. Depending on your requirement, the portion has to be decided. In general, if I tell you, it can be 2 cups of rice per meal. For a sedentary person, adult, it can be 2 cups of rice, or it can be 4 rotis per meal.
So this is a question again on taking the kada, I think that's the kashayam in Hindi, to boost immunity. So as you said, I think you already said that if you
We
use
don't have scientific evidences to prove that it's going to boost, but taking it on top of a healthy diet to sustain a better immunity, it is okay. As long as it doesn't have any side effects, we can consume, do not overdo anything.
children are not eating enough as daily activity is reduced during the lockdown. So what should be their diet plan?
You know, their diet pattern doesn't majorly change from a healthy pattern, what I have spoken, but ensure that they get adequate milk throughout the day in the form of milk or curd so that their protein requirements are met. Even if they are eating a little less, ensure that you give healthy snacks in between to compensate what they have not eaten the previous meal. So just planning a frequent meal plan throughout the day, smaller portions should help them to achieve their requirement end of the day.
How much calories and protein should a COVID patient have per day?
COVID patient 30 to 35 calories per kg body weight, actual body weight. If you are a normal person, if you are obese, it can be about 25 calories per kg body weight. And protein perspective, it can be as high as 1.2 to 1.5 grams per kg body weight. So it is pretty increased. That's why I've been, repeatedly speaking on protein, because patients who have COVID, they tend to have weakness, fatigue, muscle wasting over a period of time, and they do lose weight. In order to curtail or bring down all these components, you need to enhance their protein by giving high quality protein. It can be eggs, chicken, fish, or if you're a vegetarian, dal protein is perfect, and nuts, milk and milk products.
Right. Should the kids also start vitamin D and vitamin C supplements, as the chances of their exposure is high if a person tests positive in their family?
If in case you want to give a supplement to a child, I would encourage you to speak to a doctor, then go ahead. Otherwise, simple way to get your vitamin C is by giving a lemon or a sweet lime or an orange to them, or Indian gooseberry. Simple ways to encourage them to have these fruits on a regular basis. Even a lemon juice every day is a simple form of giving vitamin C. And vitamin D, make sure they play in their terrace for at least 20 to 30 minutes. Exposure of 20 to 30 minutes in sunlight is going to help you get your daily vitamin D. Simple ways to do it. It's not that you need to be on supplements all through. No, not necessary, unless you are deficient.
So I think that's it for now. But I must thank you, Daphne, for this wonderful discussion. And it's been so fascinating to talk about diets and recipes. And I'm sure our viewers have found it extremely useful. And if viewers have more queries, you can always reach us through Facebook, either through the messenger or through the comments section. And with this, and with all this knowledge about maintaining your weight and designing a well-planned menu, I'm sure you're all waiting to get started in the kitchen. So thank you, Daphne, for a wonderful discussion. Thank you, viewers. And we will meet tomorrow, same time. And we're going to discuss about traveling during COVID-19 pandemic and what one must do and one mustn't do. This is by Dr. Ravi Kiran. But meanwhile, stay safe and don't forget, as always, to SMS, which is the social distancing, the masking, and the sanitizing. Thank you, goodbye, and namaste.
Namaste. Thank you. Thank you.